Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about one of the most underrated and yet most powerful forces you can cultivate in your life: consistency. I'm not just talking about showing up when it's easy, when the mood is right, or when the stars align perfectly. I'm talking about showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it. Even when it's inconvenient, even when you're tired, even when doubt starts whispering in your ear. Because if you want to succeed, if you want to grow, if you want to achieve your dreams, then you must force yourself to be consistent. Now, I know that word force might sound harsh, but let me tell you something. Life isn't always going to roll out a red carpet for your goals. Motivation isn't always going to come knocking at your door. Discipline is what separates the people who dream from the people who do. Consistency is what takes that spark of inspiration and turns it into a roaring fire that can't be extinguished. Here's the expanded narrative for days 1 and 2. Consistency builds discipline, not the other way around. People often think they need to be disciplined first, that they have to have all their willpower and focus lined up before they can become consistent in their efforts. But that's not how it works. Discipline is not something you're born with, it's something you create. And you create it through the act of being consistent, through repeatedly showing up and doing the work no matter how you feel. Think about a baby learning to walk. That baby doesn't have discipline. They don't have an understanding of perseverance or long-term goals. What they have is repetition. They try, they stumble, and they try again. Day after day, they repeat the process, and through that repetition, they eventually master the art of walking. The same principle applies to adults. You don't wake up one day and magically have discipline. You build it brick by brick, through consistent action. The first step is understanding that consistency is a choice. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect mood. It's about deciding to take action, no matter the circumstances. You have to start small. If you want to build discipline, begin by committing to one small action every day. It doesn't have to be grand or complicated. Maybe it's 5 minutes of exercise, writing one paragraph, or making your bed. What matters is that you do it every single day. And here's the magic: the more consistent you are, the easier it becomes. At first, it might feel like a struggle. You'll have to force yourself to do it. You'll face resistance, excuses, and moments when you'd rather do anything else. But if you stick with it, something amazing happens. The act of showing up becomes a habit. It becomes automatic. And that's when discipline starts to take root. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's not about never making mistakes or never slipping up. It's about the ability to get back on track quickly. And consistency teaches you that. When you're consistent, you develop the resilience to keep going, even when you face setbacks. You learn that missing one day isn't the end of the world. What matters is what you do the next day. Consistency also builds confidence. Every time you follow through on a commitment, no matter how small, you prove to yourself that you're capable. You start to trust yourself. You develop the belief that you can set a goal and achieve it. And that confidence fuels your discipline. It becomes a self-reinforcing cycle. Consistency builds discipline. Discipline builds confidence. And confidence makes it easier to stay consistent. Another key to building discipline through consistency is understanding the power of routines. Routines are the framework that supports consistent action. When you have a routine, you don't have to rely on willpower or motivation. You don't have to decide every day whether or not to do something. You've already made the decision in advance. You simply follow the routine. And think about brushing your teeth. Most people don't need discipline to brush their teeth. They do it automatically because it's part of their routine. The same principle can apply to any habit or goal. If you want to exercise consistently, make it part of your routine. Set a specific time and place and stick to it. If you want to write every day, create a designated time and space for it. The more you integrate your goals into your routine, the less effort it takes to be consistent. Consistency is also about embracing the process. Too often people get fixated on the outcome. They want results and they want them fast. But success is not about instant gratification. It's about putting in the work day after day and trusting that the results will come in time. When you focus on the process, you take the pressure off yourself. You stop worrying about whether you're doing enough or whether it's working. Instead, you simply show up and do the work, knowing that consistency will lead to progress. Another common misconception is that consistency requires motivation. People think they need to feel motivated every day to take action. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. It's there one day and gone the next. Discipline, on the other hand, is steady. And you build that discipline by being consistent, even when you're not motivated. Think about the people who achieve great things in life. They're not always motivated. They're not always excited to put in the work. But they do it anyway, because they built the discipline to stay consistent. They understand that showing up is half the battle. They know that every small action adds up over time, even if it doesn't feel like much in the moment. Small daily efforts create monumental change over time. It's easy to underestimate the power of small actions. When you're taking a single step, it might feel insignificant. It might feel like you're not making any progress. But success is not about big leaps. It's about the accumulation of small steps taken consistently over time. Imagine a single drop of water falling onto a rock. That drop of water by itself doesn't seem like much. But over time, as the drops continue to fall, they wear away the rock. They create a groove, a lasting impact through sheer persistence. That's the power of small daily efforts. The same principle applies to your goals. If you want to get in shape, one workout won't make a difference. But 100 workouts done consistently will transform your body. If you want to write a book, one page won't get you there, but writing a page every day will. It's the cumulative effect of your efforts that creates change. Consistency also creates momentum. When you take small actions every day, you build a rhythm. You create a sense of progress, and that progress motivates you to keep going. Momentum is powerful because it makes it easier to stay consistent. It's like pushing a heavy object. At first, it takes a lot of effort to get it moving, but once it starts rolling, it requires less effort to keep it going. One of the biggest barriers to consistency is the belief that small actions don't matter. People think, what's the point of doing this if it's not going to make a big difference? But small actions do matter. They matter because they build habits. They matter because they create momentum. And they matter because they compound over time. Compounding is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. It's the principle that small, consistent efforts add up to something much greater than the sum of their parts. Think about compound interest. A small amount of money invested consistently grows exponentially over time. The same principle applies to your actions. When you take small steps every day, the impact multiplies. The key to making small, daily efforts work is to stay patient. Change doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process, and it requires faith in the power of consistency. You have to trust that the small actions you're taking today will lead to big results in the future. You have to believe that every step you take is bringing you closer to your goals. Another important factor is focus. Small, daily efforts only create monumental change if they're directed toward a clear goal. You have to know what you're working toward and why it matters to you. When you have a clear purpose, it's easier to stay consistent. It's easier to take those small actions every day, knowing that they're part of a bigger picture. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline makes consistency possible. Motivation is often romanticized as the spark that drives action, but the reality is that it comes and goes like the wind. One day you wake up feeling unstoppable, ready to tackle the world. The next you find yourself struggling to get out of bed, questioning why you even started in the first place. If you rely solely on motivation to keep you going, you're setting yourself up for inconsistency and eventual failure. That's where discipline steps in. Discipline isn't about feelings, it's about commitment. It's about doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Think about the people who seem to achieve their goals no matter what life throws at them. They're not more motivated than you. They don't wake up every morning brimming with enthusiasm. What they have is discipline, a system, a structure, a habit of showing up no matter the circumstances. Discipline doesn't ask, do you feel like it today? Discipline says, this is what we do, and we do it regardless. The beauty of discipline is that it doesn't leave room for negotiation. Motivation will have you negotiating with yourself. Maybe I'll skip today and make up for it tomorrow. Discipline doesn't play that game. It creates a non-negotiable standard that you hold yourself to. And here's the secret. The more disciplined you are, the less you need to rely on motivation. Discipline becomes your default setting, your automatic response to the challenges and demands of life. Building discipline starts with small, intentional actions. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. Start with one thing, one habit, one routine, one area of your life where you can practice showing up consistently. Maybe it's committing to 10 minutes of exercise every morning or writing one paragraph a day. The action itself doesn't have to be monumental. What matters is that you do it every day without fail. Over time, these small acts of discipline add up. They create a sense of momentum and a track record of reliability. Each time you follow through on your commitment, you're reinforcing a message to yourself. I can trust myself to do what I say I will do. That trust is the foundation of discipline. It's what keeps you going when motivation fades. Discipline also thrives on structure. When you have a plan, a schedule, or a routine, it's easier to stay consistent. Structure eliminates the guesswork and decision fatigue that can derail your progress. You don't have to wonder, what should I do today? Or when should I do it? You already know because you built it into your day. That's why disciplined people often have rituals and routines. They make consistency automatic. Another key to cultivating discipline is accountability. When you hold yourself accountable for your actions, you're less likely to make excuses or let yourself off the hook. Accountability can come from within through self-reflection and tracking your progress, or from external sources like a mentor, coach, or accountability partner. The simple act of knowing someone else is paying attention can be a powerful motivator to stay disciplined. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's not about never slipping up or making mistakes. It's about resilience, the ability to get back on track quickly after a setback. When you're disciplined, you don't let one bad day turn into a bad week or a bad month. You recognize the slip up, learn from it, and move forward. That resilience is what keeps you consistent over the long haul. Your actions today shape the person you become tomorrow. Every choice you make, every habit you cultivate, and every action you take contributes to the person you're becoming. It's easy to dismiss the significance of small actions, to think that skipping a workout, procrastinating on a task, or indulging in a bad habit won't make a difference. But over time, these small actions add up. They compound, shaping your character, your abilities, and your future. Imagine a sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble. Each strike of the hammer and chisel might seem insignificant on its own, but together they create a masterpiece. Your life is no different. Every action you take is a stroke of the chisel, shaping the person you're becoming. The question is, what kind of masterpiece are you creating? If you want to become someone who is disciplined, resilient, and successful, you have to act like that person today. You have to make choices that align with your goals and values, even when it's hard. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect or have everything figured out. It means you have to take consistent, intentional steps in the direction of who you want to be. The power of this principle lies in its simplicity. You don't have to wait for some grand transformation or life-changing event to become the person you want to be. You can start right now in this moment by making one small choice that moves you closer to your goals. Maybe it's choosing to go for a walk instead of sitting on the couch. Maybe it's choosing to work on your project for 15 minutes instead of scrolling through social media. These small choices might not seem like much, but they're the building blocks of your future self. Every time you take an action that aligns with your goals, you're reinforcing your identity as someone who is committed, disciplined, and capable. This is the power of habit. Your actions don't just change your circumstances, they change you. They shape your mindset, your beliefs, and your self-image. The flip side of this principle is just as important. If you consistently make choices that don't align with your goals, you're shaping an identity that doesn't serve you. Every time you give in to procrastination, doubt, or fear, you're reinforcing a narrative that says, I can't do this. Over time, that narrative becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The good news is that you have the power to rewrite that narrative. You have the power to choose actions that build you up instead of tearing you down. And the best part is, you don't have to wait for tomorrow, next week, or next year to start. You can start today with one small step. This process requires patience and persistence. Change doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual, ongoing process that requires you to show up every day, even when progress feels slow. But remember, the most meaningful changes in life often take time. They're not about quick fixes or instant results. They're about consistent effort over the long term. The key to staying consistent is to focus on the process, not the outcome. It's easy to get discouraged if you're constantly measuring your progress against some future goal. But if you shift your focus to the actions you're taking today, you'll find it easier to stay motivated. Celebrate the small wins, the daily victories, and the effort you're putting in. These are the things that will keep you moving forward. Progress is born from persistence, not perfection. Too often, people hesitate to start because they're waiting for the perfect conditions or the perfect moment. They want everything to align just right before they take that first step. But perfection is a myth, an unattainable ideal that keeps us stuck in the same place. If you spend your life chasing perfection, you'll never move forward because the conditions will never be just right. Real progress, the kind that transforms your life, comes from showing up consistently and persisting through the messy, imperfect process of growth. Think about the greatest achievements in history. None of them were accomplished in perfect conditions. The Wright brothers didn't wait for the perfect day to test their flying machine. They faced failure after failure, but they persisted. Thomas Edison didn't create the light bulb on his first try. He failed thousands of times, but he kept going. These pioneers understood a fundamental truth. Progress is messy, and it's born from persistence. The problem with striving for perfection is that it often leads to paralysis. You become so focused on getting everything right that you end up doing nothing at all. You overthink, you procrastinate, and you talk yourself out of taking action. But here's the thing, action is the only way to learn, grow, and improve. You can't wait until you're perfect to start because perfection is a moving target. It's only through persistence, through taking imperfect action, that you get closer to your goals. Persistence means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It means continuing to push forward, even when you're tired, discouraged, or unsure. It's about embracing the process, knowing that every step you take, no matter how small or imperfect, brings you closer to your goal. It's about trusting that the effort you put in today will pay off in the long run. One of the biggest obstacles to persistence is the fear of failure. Nobody likes to fail, but failure is an essential part of progress. It's through failure that you learn what works and what doesn't. It's through failure that you gain the experience and resilience needed to succeed. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who persist through it. They understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone on the path to success. To cultivate persistence, you have to shift your mindset. Instead of focusing on perfection, focus on progress. Celebrate the small wins, the tiny steps forward, even if they seem insignificant. Each step you take is a victory, because it means you're moving in the right direction. It's not about how fast you go. It's about the fact that you're going. Persistence also requires resilience, the ability to bounce back after setbacks. When you're working toward a goal, setbacks are inevitable. There will be days when things don't go as planned, when you feel like you've taken 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. But persistence means picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, and trying again. It means refusing to let setbacks define you or derail your progress. One of the best ways to build persistence is to focus on your why. Why are you pursuing this goal? What does it mean to you? When you have a strong why, it becomes easier to push through the tough times. Your why gives you a sense of purpose and a reason to keep going, even when the journey gets hard. Persistence is also about consistency. It's about showing up every day, even when you don't see immediate results. It's about trusting the process and knowing that the small actions you take today will lead to big changes over time. It's about having faith in yourself and your ability to overcome obstacles and achieve your goals. Consistency thrives when you prioritize habits over feelings. Feelings are fickle. They change from moment to moment, influenced by everything from the weather to your mood to the events of the day. If you let your feelings dictate your actions, you'll never be consistent. One day you'll feel motivated and productive. The next, you'll feel tired and uninspired. That's why habits are so powerful. They allow you to take action regardless of how you feel. Habits are the foundation of consistency. They're the automatic actions you take every day without even thinking about them. Think about brushing your teeth. Most people don't have to muster up the motivation to brush their teeth every morning and night. It's simply a habit, something you do, because it's part of your routine. That's the kind of consistency you need to cultivate in other areas of your life. The key to building habits is starting small. Too often, people try to make big changes all at once, only to burn out and give up. Instead, focus on one small, manageable habit that you can commit to every day. It might be as simple as drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning or writing for 5 minutes a day. The important thing is to start small and build from there. Once you've established a habit, it becomes easier to stay consistent because it requires less effort and willpower. You don't have to think about it or debate whether or not to do it. You just do it. That's the beauty of habits. They free you from the constant struggle of making decisions and fighting against your feelings. Another way to prioritize habits over feelings is to create a routine. When you have a routine, you don't have to rely on willpower to stay consistent. You've already made the decision in advance about what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. Routines create a sense of structure and predictability that makes it easier to stay on track. Accountability is also a powerful tool for building consistency. When you hold yourself accountable for your actions, you are less likely to let your feelings get in the way. Accountability can come from within, through tracking your progress and setting goals, or from external sources like a friend, coach, or accountability partner. The simple act of knowing someone else is paying attention can be a strong motivator to stay consistent. It's also important to be kind to yourself. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. There will be days when you slip up or fall short of your goals. That's okay. What matters is that you don't let those setbacks derail your progress. Instead of beating yourself up, focus on getting back on track. Consistency is about the long game, not the occasional misstep. One of the biggest barriers to consistency is the tendency to overthink. When you overthink, you give your feelings too much power. You start questioning whether you're doing enough, whether it's worth it, or whether you're capable of succeeding. Overthinking creates doubt, and doubt leads to inaction. The best way to overcome this is to simplify your approach. Focus on the action, not the outcome. Don't worry about whether it's perfect or whether you're ready. Just take the next step, no matter how small. The journey is long, but consistency turns it into a habit. Every significant achievement in life is the result of a process, a journey that requires time, patience, and dedication. It's not the grand gestures or sporadic bursts of effort that bring lasting success. It's the consistent daily actions that create momentum and eventually lead to breakthroughs. Consistency isn't about intensity. It's about regularity. It's about showing up day after day, even when the results are not immediately visible. When you first start on a new path, whether it's learning a skill, improving your health, or pursuing a dream, the initial enthusiasm can carry you through the first few days or weeks. But as the novelty wears off and the effort begins to feel monotonous, many people lose steam. This is where consistency becomes your greatest ally. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Habits are born from repeated actions. The more you do something, the easier it becomes. At first, it might feel unnatural or uncomfortable, like forcing yourself to exercise after years of inactivity, or waking up early when you're used to sleeping in. But over time, as you continue to show up and put in the effort, these actions start to feel automatic. They become a part of who you are, rather than something you have to consciously force yourself to do. You think of consistency like planting seeds in a garden. You don't see the results right away. You water the soil, remove the weeds, and wait patiently for the first signs of growth. If you were to stop watering the seeds because you didn't see immediate results, you'd never experience the harvest. The same principle applies to your goals. Every action you take is like watering the seeds of your success. Each step, no matter how small, contributes to the bigger picture. It's easy to underestimate the power of small actions. You might think that skipping one workout, one study session, or one productive day won't make a difference. But success is not built on single events, it's built on the cumulative effect of consistent effort. Each time you show up and do the work, you're reinforcing the habits that lead to success. Conversely, every time you skip or neglect the work, you're reinforcing habits that lead to stagnation. The key to staying consistent over the long haul is to focus on the process, not the results. When you're fixated on the end goal, it's easy to become discouraged if progress feels slow. But if you shift your attention to the daily actions and routines that move you closer to your goal, you'll find it easier to stay motivated. Celebrate the act of showing up, even if the results aren't immediately apparent. Trust that the process will eventually lead to the outcome you desire. Discipline plays a crucial role in maintaining consistency. There will be days when you don't feel like putting in the effort, when excuses seem more appealing than action. This is where discipline comes into play. Discipline is what keeps you going when motivation fades. It's the commitment to do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. The more disciplined you are, the more consistent you'll become, and the easier it will be to turn your actions into habits. Consistency also requires patience. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to expect instant results, but meaningful change takes time. It's not about quick fixes or overnight success. It's about the steady, incremental progress that leads to lasting results. Patience allows you to stay the course, even when the journey feels slow or the results are not immediately visible. Building consistency is not about willpower alone. It's about creating an environment that supports your goals. This means removing distractions, setting clear boundaries, and creating routines that make it easier to stay on track. For example, if you want to exercise consistently, lay out your workout clothes the night before or schedule your workouts at the same time every day. These small adjustments can make a big difference in your ability to stay consistent. Another important aspect of consistency is accountability. When you have someone or something holding you accountable, you're less likely to let yourself off the hook. This could be a friend, a mentor, a coach, or even a journal where you track your progress. Accountability creates a sense of responsibility and keeps you focused on your goals even when the going gets tough. The magic of consistency lies in its ability to create compound effects. At first, the progress might be slow and barely noticeable, but over time, the small, consistent actions add up. They create momentum, build confidence, and lead to exponential growth. What once felt difficult becomes second nature, and the results start to speak for themselves. You must show up for yourself before expecting results from the world. Life doesn't reward potential, it rewards action. It's easy to talk about your dreams, set lofty goals, and make plans for the future. But none of that matters if you don't back it up with consistent action. Showing up for yourself means committing to your growth, your goals, and your vision, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other aspect of your life. If you consistently let yourself down by breaking promises or avoiding responsibilities, you're sending a message to yourself that your goals don't matter. Over time, this erodes your self-esteem and creates a pattern of inaction. But when you show up for yourself, when you keep your promises and take action, you're reinforcing the sense of self-worth and reliability. Showing up for yourself doesn't mean you have to be perfect or achieve everything overnight. It means being present, taking responsibility, and doing the best you can with what you have. It means acknowledging your own needs, setting boundaries, and prioritizing your well-being. It's about recognizing that you are your own greatest resource and treating yourself accordingly. One of the most powerful ways to show up for yourself is to create a routine that supports your goals and values. A routine gives structure to your day and ensures that you're dedicating time to the things that matter most. It's a way of saying, I value my time and my goals enough to plan for them. Whether it's a morning routine, a workout schedule, or dedicated time for personal growth, a routine creates consistency and helps you stay on track. Another way to show up for yourself is to take ownership of your time and energy. It's easy to get caught up in the demands and expectations of others, but true consistency requires you to prioritize your own goals. This doesn't mean being selfish or neglecting your responsibilities. It means recognizing that your dreams are just as important as anyone else's. When you take control of your time, you're showing up for yourself in a way that honors your aspirations and values. Self-compassion is also an essential part of showing up for yourself. Consistency doesn't mean perfection, and there will be times when you fall short or make mistakes. Instead of beating yourself up, practice self-compassion. Acknowledge your humanity, learn from your experiences, and commit to doing better next time. Self-compassion allows you to stay consistent without the burden of unrealistic expectations. Showing up for yourself also means celebrating your progress, no matter how small. It's easy to focus on what's left to do or what you haven't achieved yet. But every step forward is worth acknowledging. Celebrating your progress reinforces the habit of consistency and reminds you that your efforts are making a difference. By showing up for yourself, you're setting an example for others to follow. You're demonstrating what it looks like to take responsibility for your life, to honor your commitments, and to pursue your goals with determination. You're showing that consistency is not just a habit, it's a way of life. Excuses are the enemy of progress, and consistency is their greatest adversary. Excuses are the seductive whispers that creep in when the going gets tough. They tell you it's okay to skip today, that you'll start tomorrow, or that you're not ready yet. They provide temporary comfort, shielding you from the discomfort of effort, but they rob you of progress and potential. Every time you give in to an excuse, you're choosing short-term ease over long-term growth. Excuses might feel justified in the moment, but they are barriers that stand between you and your goals. The most dangerous thing about excuses is their ability to disguise themselves as valid reasons. You might tell yourself you're too busy, too tired, or not skilled enough to take the next step. But these are not facts. They're stories you tell yourself to avoid discomfort. The truth is, if something matters enough, you'll find a way to make it happen. If it doesn't, you'll find an excuse. The key to overcoming excuses is recognizing them for what they are, obstacles you've placed in your own path. Consistency is the antidote to excuses. It doesn't leave room for negotiation or debate. When you commit to being consistent, you take the decision-making out of the equation. You don't ask yourself whether you feel like doing something, you just do it because it's part of your routine, part of your identity. Consistency eliminates the mental tug-of-war between effort and excuses. It creates a habit of action that becomes stronger than the temptation to procrastinate or avoid. One of the most effective ways to combat excuses is to focus on your why. Why are you pursuing this goal? Why does it matter to you? When you have a strong why, it becomes easier to push through resistance and silence the excuses. Your why acts as a compass, guiding you back on track when you're tempted to veer off course. It gives you a sense of purpose and reminds you that the discomfort of effort is temporary, but the regret of not trying lasts much longer. Another powerful strategy is to anticipate excuses before they arise. Think about the reasons you've used in the past to avoid taking action. Are they related to time, energy, or fear of failure? Once you identify your common excuses, you can create strategies to counteract them. For example, if you often say you are too busy, take a closer look at your schedule and identify time-wasting activities you can eliminate. If you struggle with energy, focus on building habits that support your physical and mental well-being, like getting enough sleep, eating nutritious food, and staying active. Accountability is another valuable tool for overcoming excuses. When you're accountable to someone else, a friend, mentor, or accountability partner, you're less likely to let excuses derail your progress. The simple act of sharing your goals and commitments with someone else creates a sense of responsibility and motivates you to follow through. You don't want to let yourself down, and you certainly don't want to let someone else down either. Excuses thrive in isolation, but they lose their power when exposed to the light of self-awareness. Take a moment to examine the excuses you've been making. Are they based on genuine obstacles, or are they a way to avoid discomfort? Are they helping you move closer to your goals, or are they holding you back? By questioning your excuses and challenging their validity, you can break free from their grip and take control of your actions. Progress requires action, and action requires consistency. The more consistent you are, the easier it becomes to push past excuses and stay focused on your goals. Each time you show up and do the work, even when you don't feel like it, you're proving to yourself that you're capable of overcoming resistance. You're building the mental toughness and discipline needed to succeed in the face of challenges. Excuses might be tempting, but they come at a cost. Every time you choose an excuse over effort, you're delaying your progress and diminishing your confidence. On the other hand, every time you choose effort over excuses, you're reinforcing a sense of self-respect and capability. You're showing yourself that you have what it takes to stay consistent and achieve your goals, no matter the obstacles. Being consistent is not about being perfect. It's about showing up despite imperfection. Many people let the fear of failure or the desire for perfection keep them from taking action. They wait for the perfect conditions, the perfect timing, or the perfect plan. But perfection is an illusion, and waiting for it only leads to stagnation. Progress doesn't require perfection, it requires persistence. When you commit to being consistent, you free yourself from the pressure to be perfect. You give yourself permission to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow. You focus on the process rather than the outcome, knowing that each step forward brings you closer to your goals. Consistency allows you to embrace imperfection as part of the journey, rather than letting it hold you back. The fear of failure is one of the biggest barriers to consistency. Many people are so afraid of making mistakes that they avoid taking action altogether. But failure is not the opposite of success. It's a necessary part of the journey. Every successful person has failed countless times, but they didn't let those failures define them. They used them as opportunities to learn, to adapt, and to improve. Consistency helps you overcome the fear of failure by shifting your focus from the outcome to the effort. Instead of worrying about whether you'll succeed or fail, you focus on showing up and doing the work. You trust that the effort you put in today will lead to growth and progress, even if the results aren't immediately visible. By staying consistent, you build the resilience and confidence needed to face challenges head-on. Perfectionism is another obstacle to consistency. When you're focused on being perfect, you set unrealistic expectations for yourself and become paralyzed by the fear of falling short. But perfection is not attainable, and the pursuit of it often leads to procrastination and self-doubt. Consistency allows you to let go of perfectionism and embrace the messiness of growth. It reminds you that progress is more important than perfection, and that taking imperfect action is better than taking no action at all.